Star Wars 7x7 episode 2473. It's Spinner Sunday, and so today we're going to check in on a Darth Maul story that we haven't talked about here on the show. Punch it! Hey Rebel Rouser, I'm Alan Voivod, and this is Star Wars 7x7, your daily dose of Star Wars joy, and thank you so much for joining me for it. So there was a listen to me, a Darth Maul set of stories told in the Marvel Comics in 2017, and that was the 40th anniversary year for the original Star Wars, aka A New Hope, so they had a bunch of variant covers and collectible things telling the story of Star Wars through comic book cover type images of events happening in the movie, which was kind of cool. But this Darth Maul story is interesting in particular because it takes place before the events of the Phantom Menace. And I feel like in the new canon, we don't actually have a lot of stories that take place prior to the events of the Phantom Menace. Yes, I know the High Republic, but that's not the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm talking about things that relate to the prequel trilogy and yet are, not happening before the Phantom Menace. But notably, they are happening in bits and pieces. This Darth Maul story is one. Half of the E.K. Johnston novel Queen's Peril is another one, and the other half of it takes place concurrent with the events of the Phantom Menace. But this particular Darth Maul story, did I do that again? My goodness. This particular Darth Maul story really kind of centers on the fact that when we saw him in the Phantom Menace initially, and he said, at last we'll come out of the shadows, at last we'll have our revenge, right? Well, it basically uses that emotion as the driver for the whole story, and that he has just been so impatient waiting to get out of the shadows and actually start killing Jedi that it's just driving him nuts. And Palpatine's like, yeah, look, I know you need to blow off some steam. Go to Tuan Kati and go kill some Rathtars, basically. So yeah, it opens with him hunting Rathtars, who it turns out apparently are pack animals. And so they hunt in groups, and Maul has to take out a group of Rathtars. But good for him, apparently he is up to the task, and that at least gets him cooled down enough so that he can come back to Palpatine, and Palpatine can say, hey, I got a mission for you, go to the Kellic system, because the Trade Federation is trying to set up a mining operation in secret, and some pirates are attacking them, and they can't call for help for the Republic, because this is supposed to be for the droid army that they're trying to build, and they don't want that kind of attention. So Maul goes there and lays waste to everybody, and finds out that there is a Padawan who's been captured and is being auctioned off by a crime syndicate cartel. And who the heck knows on the pronunciation of this? If I can't say Darth with consistency, my goodness. The Zrexus cartel, X-R-E-X-U-X, the Zrexus cartel, right? And so to effect a kidnapping of this Padawan, Maul hires a couple of bounty hunters to assist him, including Cad Bane and Aurra Sing, and the weird one called Vordello, who has a taste for blood in a rather disturbing way. And the story is about how they figure out how to get an invite through less than scrupulous means to the auction happening, and what happens when they actually get a hold of the Padawan, and how that goes awry, and how they deal with it. And then, of course, Maul doing what he wants to do, which is having the opportunity to kill his first Jedi. And there are a couple of things that are especially noteworthy about the story, aside from the time frame in which it takes place. There is a bit of a flashback told with Maul and with Palpatine, and Palpatine takes him to some Sith world that was basically destroyed by the Jedi, or at least this is how Palpatine is pitching it. And there are a lot of just, ashen statues of what are presumably previous Sith Lords, and Palpatine kind of whips up a little force thing and says, yeah, breathe it in, huh. And it turns into this weird kind of spirit journey that Maul has, where he experiences the deaths of all of these Sith Lords and Sith warriors at the hands of the Jedi, this horrific experience from the Sith perspective. And this actually, for a Star Wars fun fact of the day, if you will, is the planet Malachor. There was apparently a Battle of Malachor or a Great Scourge of Malachor, depending on who's talking about it, where some sort of Sith weapon basically went awry, it seems, and petrified whole bunches of people there. But anyway, that's one of the things that I thought was fascinating. And the other is, as Maul is more on his own, and he is meditating on the fact that what he's doing is going to get him in trouble if he gets found out. He spends a lot of time thinking to himself about his particular situation, about how he is forced to live in the shadows, he is forced to not reveal who he is or what he can do or anything like that, and compare it to what he knows of the Sith and what he knows of Palpatine, aka Sidious. And there's one thing where he thinks to himself, my master has plans within plans, but his preparation and his plotting, his patience, it flies in the face of the very power that feeds the dark side. And over the course of the events of the story, he starts to learn that, well, maybe plans and patience and shadows are not necessarily a bad thing, that they may have their uses. But I got to thinking about it in terms of just, the whole history of the Jedi and the Sith. And really, it has become part of the nature of the Sith, this patience, especially considering the balance of power, if you will, between the Jedi and the Sith. If you had a galaxy where it was more equivalent, where it was balanced, then you probably would see the kind of aggressive action that the Sith would be otherwise known for, at least as Maul thinks about it. And it's kind of what we saw when the Order 66 business happened, and suddenly most of the Jedi were gone and the Sith were ascendant, even though they weren't even saying anything about the Sith really so much in that time period. But there wasn't necessarily even anybody to talk about the Sith, because it would have been really the Jedi who would have been saying Sith, Sith, Sith. And Maul talks about the freedom that the Rathtars have, just their ability to live in a way that Maul himself believes that he is not, because he is leashed by his master, by Sidious / Palpatine, that he can't go out and just kill anybody he wants because of all the plans within plans and all that. And in a sense, that leashing, that holding back, that also is definitely not a natural Sith characteristic either, and is one that they've had to develop over the 1,000 years or so, where they've had to hide in the shadows and whatnot. So, there are intimations about the Jedi Order in the High Republic and about how they are evolving in their understanding of the Force. And it actually suggests, this Darth Maul story, that the Sith have had to evolve their understanding of the dark side in their own particular fashion, but really out of a survival necessity, because they didn't have the numbers to be able to fight back against the Jedi for so many years. So yeah, as a self-contained story, it is a pretty good one. Maul learning more about his nature, and us learning more about Maul's nature prior to his introduction in the Phantom Menace. Yeah, good story, well told. And that is our Spinner Sunday look at the 5-issue Darth Maul series from Marvel from 2017, taking place before the events of the Phantom Menace. And that is going to do it for this episode of the show as well. It just remains for me to say thank you so much for joining me for it as always, and may the Force be with you wherever in the world you may be.
7x7 is not endorsed or sponsored yet by Lucasfilm Limited, Disney, or 20th Century Fox, and is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Star Wars, the Star Wars logo, all names and pictures of Star Wars characters, vehicles, and any other Star Wars related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Lucasfilm Limited, or their respective trademark and copyright holders. May the Force be with them. All original content is copyright 2021 by Star Wars 7x7. We hope you love it.